Okay, testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, so once you open up Adobe Premiere, you'll have this screen here, and over here is where you'll find just kind of like a bin for putting your clips on this tab. And then you have a media browser. I don't use that. I don't use that. There's the effects. You'll use that, and I don't use the rest of the stuff. I just use this and this. Okay, so we go into the clips that I'm going to use. So we're going to highlight all those and just drag them in to this bin. You notice I already have some clips in there, which I had a template here, but I just deleted all that just to show you how to do it from scratch. It takes a minute or so to load up import the files. Okay, so now the files are here, and they're still highlighted. So what I do is I just grab the first one and just kind of transfer it over here. Now you can move them up and down. You got to watch out for overwriting your other clips. So if you already have clips here and you're moving things in here, you want to make sure they don't go over top of your other stuff. So I'm just going to drop it right there. And then I have my picture of my name here, so I'm going to just kind of put that there. And you can take it and expand it out. So this is a picture, you can expand it out infinitely. So that's what it looks like. And that's what it looks like over the clip. And we could just take it, click on that. When you highlight a particular clip, you can highlight the clip. It opens up the effects controls. So you have these different options up here. So once this is highlighted, you can click on motion. Or you could go change the position of it. Say I could do this number by dragging this back and forth, is moving it up and down. I'm just going I'm clicking here and then I'm moving left and right. So you can't really see that, or what I do is I just click motion, and then you can see it has this the edges that you can move around. So I'm just going to grab that, make it about the size I want, and kind of move it over here in this particular video, so that way I have deselect everything. You see now it's there, and I could just make that as an overlay over the entire video. Okay, so I also have the Van Underwood, the dealership logo that I need to put in there. I could just put that in there like so, expand it out, so now it's in the center. This is a little bit advanced, but let's go ahead and go into effects. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to key out the white background. So we're going to just do the search here. There's lots of different effects as you start to expand these out. So what I do is I just type in key, and then I find color key, and I take that effect and I drop it onto this. And then once I drop it there, it highlights it, so I could see all the effects controls. See, I have the motion here. I have I have rotation. I can rotate it around. I can. There's lots of different things. The opacity of it I can change. But now that I've added this color key by dropping it onto it, I can change I could key out that white. So I'm going to pick this and just kind of do the white number there. So now I kind of cut out the white color in the background, but it still kind of looks, doesn't really pop, So let's close this out and then go here and hit drop shadow. Okay, so there's drop shadow. Let's drop that onto the clip. So now we have the color key. Now we have the drop shadow appearing here. So black, you can use black. In this case, I want to use white. So I want to click that and go to white. and have a white background. I think that looks better in this particular case. You can change the opacity. I'm going to change it to 100 so it's not washed out, and then get the distance out there. You can see the distance right here makes the background kind of move away, the shadow here. So I'm going to kind of play around with it and see how it looks. And then you can change the softness or whatever, but I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so while we have it highlighted, let's go ahead and scroll up here to the top, click on motion, and it's a little big, so let's go ahead and resize that and put it down right there. So that'll be the overlay for the dealership overlay throughout the entire video. And then you have my name, which is kind of big, but who cares. Okay, so we got there. There's no transitions on the ends yet, and all the clips are raw down here. So let's just kind of get out of this drop shadow thing and leave the effects for a minute and go over here to the project and make sure we have everything that we need. Like in the very beginning, sometimes I'll take and put this picture here, but let's just go ahead and start editing the video and see how it goes. So the clips here, I have them in a certain sequence, so I'm going to go ahead. I always start my videos off with this rolling over shot, so I can just grab that, move it to the beginning, and what that does is, the way I have it, the way I film it, that separates the kind of glamour shots from the very beginning of the video from the actual dialogue and the presentation shots over here. So what I do is I'll highlight these, click this, right click, and go to unlink, and then highlight now I can separately highlight the audio, highlight that and delete it. So I'm not using any of the audio on these clips. So now I've got this rollover shot that I need to trim up. You can see it's the full clip here and all the moving around and everything, and wait till I get in the vehicle, and right about there I suppose, and just drag the edge. It's really easy to mark it with this line. See this? You can move this line right here, and then you can trim it up to that line. It kind of snaps in place. If you try to do some real small trimming, sometimes it works. You can zoom in and out by this bar down here, so we can zoom in and out using sliding that bar. We can also grab the center of the bar and move throughout our timeline, so we can zoom in and out. So now we have this bar, I can move it back and forth, but grabbing the edge I can zoom in. So we could really zoom in, and you can get some fine details if you want. Okay, so let's go to the end of this clip, and I'm going to go right about there and trim that off just by sliding the edge. Now, just to show you, let's say this edge just, I wanted to use something else over here. So let's say I wanted to cut it there and then cut it somewhere else. I like the way it auto saves all the time. Okay, so I can go over here. These are the little cursor things, little tools. So right now we have this selection tool, but you have this razor blade tool. I can click that, and we could go right here, and we just it kind of snaps to that line, and then we click there, and it makes a cut. And we've got to remember to go back to the selection tool. Okay, and now we can trim up this side. If we wanted to use a portion over here, we can trim that up and use that. It'll be a separate portion now. But in this case, I didn't need to do that. I could just delete that. Okay, so let's move that over here and move the video up, the audio down. And now it's the tedious job of just going through these clips and trimming them up one by one. So this one right here, I've got the shadow of my head over here, and I've got this moving, so wait for it to there we go, right about there. So let me trim this up. Now let's play it through. Okay, stops right about there, so I'm going to go ahead and just trim that up. That'll be the That'll be all I'm going to need to use on that particular one. And this one is just for the thumbnail. Okay, so all I did here was just to record for a few seconds, just to take this picture. But I don't want to have the picture with these overlays here. So I could go right here to this little eye. I can make that disappear temporarily. It's still there, it's just you don't see it. And then I'll take a picture, screenshot right here, export frame. And that, I got it set to the desktop. Make sure you know where it goes, because if you export a frame you don't know where it is, then it's hard to find. So I'm going to export it to the desktop, click OK. So now this particular extremely high resolution, the 4K resolution picture has now been exported to the desktop, so I can use that for my thumbnail. I'll edit that, put its own overlays and all that stuff. Okay, so now we've got to remember to show the icons again, the overlays again. So let's go ahead and delete this clip since I'm done with it. We'll go to the next one. Alright, so there is another clip. This is where I show the headlights. And right about there, I'm going to go ahead and stop it, trim that up, continue through. And we'll see how it looks. Kind of add a little bit of motion there. We might try to work with that using a special tool. I don't really care to use it, but sometimes I use it. But we'll deal with that later if we decide to. Okay, so here's the engine shot. I'm gonna wait for it to go up. And as soon as it starts getting steady, slow and steady, it's the name of the game, then I trim it up. Wait for it to get to the ending point where I want to end it, about right there. Trim that up and then put it over here. Alright, here's the next shot, is the wheel and tire area. And I decided in this one, the way the sun was laying on the ground, it was late in the afternoon. If I were to put the camera where I normally put it, where it shows the back wheels too, then it would cast this horrible shadow across the wheel that I'm trying to film. So I just went ahead and put the camera at this angle, which is kind of neat because it kind of shows the contour of the vehicle and the size of the wheel and tire relative to the vehicle. So I think it'll work out fine. Alright, so let's go and okay, so when the slow and steady starts, I stop it, trim this up. Alright, continue through. The light and the motion gives you a good idea of the tire, the wheel, everything here. Alright, that stops. I kind of hold the wheel for a second, and let's just stop there. That's good enough. We can always extend it out. So once I start editing and putting everything together, if I need this a little bit longer, I just grab it and pull it and make it longer. So, but that's about where I want to end it. Alright, the next clip, this is that. So I try to get up high, and then right about there is where we're going to start the actual clip here, and it refocuses, kind of gives you a transition. And on this one I kind of carried the camera down quite a ways, so it actually goes down and sees the floor. You can see the floorboard and all that good stuff. So that's a little bit, not really, a little bit too long, but we'll see how it goes when we actually do work with it. There's the back seat. I was dealing with some shadows here, so I had to go from a different angle, and it didn't really, it's had to work with what I had to work with. The shadows sometimes cause a problem this time of year. Alright, so then it stopped. The camera bumped up against something. There's much room there, so I'm going to back it up a little bit and just kind of trim it up to there. So you can see the back seat. It's not the most ideal shot I've ever done, but I think it'll work. When you put it together, it tends to work pretty good with everything else in context. Alright, so here's the cargo. I actually took out the back seat, and it's the first time I've done that, so I thought, hey, let's go ahead and take it out. so we can see what this is. A two-door Wrangler, so usually there's not a lot of cargo space, and not a lot of people use the back seat, so I want to show that you could take it out and see how much cargo space you have with the seat out. Alright, it's right about there. Okay, so let me trim that up. Okay, so now those are all of my glamour shots here, and I use those in two places. I actually use them in the very beginning to kind of give the viewer a visual representation of what's going to be shown in the video, and also use them as an overlay video as I'm doing my presentation. So I'm going to highlight that, copy it, all those, and then I'm going to put the cursor about there away from everything and just paste. So I'm going to do Control V. Okay, and then it pastes them. So I'm going to take those and put them up kind of high and move them out of the way because they're going to be used. Going to sprinkle those about in the presentation. These are going to be used for the intro. So I'm going to put those around here. See how it snaps as you're zoomed out. If I were to put this line right there, then it snaps to the line. You see, it gives it something to snap to. So that's what I was talking about, using that line as a reference. But zooming in helps out with that. So now we're zoomed in, and first thing I do is I put those in order. So, all right, so that's I go from the micro to the macro. So we go with see that the video starts off with going underneath the car. So you don't even know what car it is necessarily. So the next thing would be the engine, and then the wheel. We're piecing we're piecing everything into the mind is getting pieces of the vehicle without seeing the whole thing yet. Is basically what it is. So then we can go ahead and go with the steering wheel interior, and then we'll go ahead and go with the back seat. Actually, I'll leave the back seat out of the intro, and then we'll go with the cargo area, and then we'll go with the headlights, and then finally you get to see the whole vehicle. So the micro to the macro idea. That's my intro theme. And you'll see that these clips are quite long. So for the intro, we don't want to bore them with all these long clips. So what I do is, especially when I'm putting music on the intro, which we might do, what I'll do is I will look at this timer and just kind of roughly, it's not like a to the millisecond here. I just look at the timer, I click play, and I count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that I'm just going to trim it up. So we got 4 seconds of the engine, and I can click here and I can hit delete, and it deletes that space and pulls everything in for me. All right. So I can hit play. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I don't like the way. I would rather have a starting point of around here. So let me trim that up. And let's go ahead and redo that. So go 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that will be better. Highlight in the empty space, hit delete, pulls it in. 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically, what you want to do is you want to catch people's interest with your intro. So in my particular case, I'm showing snippets of the car, micro to macro. There's another technique we'll get to with the transitions, which helps out, and you'll notice this in movie trailers. It's kind of a psychological thing, but not really manipulative, but it's a little bit of a psychological trick to catch people's interest. I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so I don't know if I want to. Let's start with that. Let's trim that up to where we're starting about right there for the intro. All right. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we'll trim that up. Delete that. This one, let's kind of scrub down to about right there. Trim that up. One, 2, 3, 4. Kind of give people a glimpse of the front end, the lights and everything. It's not the full clip, but it's the intro. So, and then the last one where they get to see the vehicle, the whole vehicle, I just leave that pretty long, so I'm not going to trim that up. In this case, it's kind of short because the way I filmed it, because it's so, the reason why it's short is because of the light. I had this shadow that's like 30 feet in front of me, so I had to get like 50 feet away from the vehicle and then zoom in to try to eliminate that shadow, because I wanted that angle from the sun. So that's why the clip's very short, and you know, so that's just kind of the way it worked out. You have to, working outside, you have to kind of improvise. Okay, so now I'm gonna just go ahead and drag that in to make sure that's going to be included for right a second. Okay, so like you're watching this, and you got this car going over, and then you see that, and you see that. Okay, so you see all these clips. Let's go ahead and do the little transition thing. So we go to effects, and then we go to video transitions. You also have audio transitions. So let's go to audio, and let's see. So now we have both the audio and the video kind of open. So we can go to exponential fade. You can use any one of these transitions. I just choose to use that one. For the audio for the car, backing up, and let's go down here to the dissolve. I don't like the too cheesy of the transitions. I like to have just kind of more basic, but you have cross dissolve, which is very useful for almost every case. I'm gonna do that in the very beginning. It just kind of fades everything in, you know, and you can extend these out. To extend these out, so like say this cross dissolve, you have to zoom in quite a bit, and then you catch the edge here, and then you can make it as long as you want, and then it just makes it slower to fade in. That's a little slow, but I don't, you know, just kind of give you an idea. So there's that, but I don't use that for when it comes into these portions. I use a dip to black, because your mind is trying to look at something. Let's go ahead and put it in there, all of them, dip to black. So this is what they do in movie reviews, like in the movie theater. You notice it is constantly fading to black, and it is a little bit annoying, to be honest, but it works because it makes your brain want to see more automatically. You're like, hey, I'm seeing something for a second, and then it goes away, and then it gives you some other snippet, and then it goes away. You know, so you're wanting more than what you're seeing. So it's kind of a little bit of a psychological trick. So I'm going to zoom in, and this is where I'm going to extend out and make these fades slower. Just kind of give you some little bit of a professional effect here. With, you kind of have to zoom in for that to work. Just kind of get this slow, not a real rapid fade, a real soft fade, and we're just kind of easing into the video. We want people to feel comfortable. They want to check out some cool stuff, and this works really good with music in the background, so we might do that. So let's just try this song right here that I already had in here, and just put it down here at the very bottom. Like, so right now I'm bringing in something, and I already have clips on the board, so I got to watch out I don't accidentally put it over top of other stuff. So I'm going to put it down here quite a ways. Alright, so let's just see what that looks like with the music playing, and see what it looks like. Okay, so that's kind of my intro there. It's kind of like a default, but Hey, this is Mike. Thank you so much for choosing this video. Today I'm in Whiteville, North Carolina, visiting Van Underwood Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram, Carolina, visiting Van Underwood Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram, and I'm checking out a 2017 Jeep Wrangler. Hey, this is Mike. Thank you so much for Hey, this is Mike. Thank you so much. Hey, this is Mike. Thank you so much for choosing this video. Today I'm in Whiteville, North Carolina, visiting Van Underwood Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram, and I'm checking out a 2017 Jeep Wrangler in the Sport trim level. Now this particular one has quite a few options. It has the Sport S package, has the automatic transmission, and the connectivity group, and the power convenience group. So it has quite a few ads here, and the hardtop, of course. So let's go ahead and check it out.